morning, everybody. Welcome to Brookline Interactive Cable TV show, The Safety Net, dedicated to raising awareness of domestic violence, particularly important during this time. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and particularly important during this time of COVID. We are really, really lucky today to have two special guests. Cheryl Snyder, Emergency Management Coordinator for the town of Brookline. Cheryl, welcome. And Julie Youdovin, who's with Jewish Family and Children's Services and is Domestic Violence Expert Extraordinaire. Welcome. Cheryl, would you tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing now?
Sure. I have been a project manager probably for 20 some years, and I worked for a short time with Partners in Health on a project in Africa. I come to emergency management with a social justice background, so I'm trying to pay attention to those who are most vulnerable in emergency situations. The emergency management coordinator position is a new one for the town of Brookline. I am not new to the town of Brookline. I was the emergency preparedness coordinator for the health department for the past 5 years. And I also live here in Brookline, and my daughter went to Runkle in the high school. I report to the fire chief in this new Office of Emergency Management, which is a town-wide office. The fire chief has a dual role here in Brookline. He's also the emergency management director, which is why I report to him. We haven't had a full-time staff or an office of an emergency management before. In the past, we've used a variety of people across various agencies, police, fire, public health, DPW, buildings. All of these agencies play a role in emergency management. But emergencies really require a unified response across all agencies. And most people who are in agencies working on emergency management are doing it as a second or third priority in their job. So my role is really to try and make sure that all of the agencies involved in emergency planning and emergency management are working together, aware of what each other is doing, and planning for the next emergency, whatever it may be.
Thank you, Cheryl. Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your incredible work at Jewish Family and Children's Services?
Thank you, Susan, and thank you for the invitation to be here. It's an honor to be on with both of you, so thank you so much. So Journey to Safety is the domestic abuse program at Jewish Family and Children's Service. And so the first thing is we provide services to any survivor who calls us. So you don't be tripped up by the name Jewish Family. We are here for the community, and a lot of the folks that we serve are not Jewish. And in addition to that, we do have some specialized services for Jewish survivors, just in thinking about any particular concerns or needs that they may have. Additionally, we also have a Russian-speaking advocate, so we are a bilingual program. And essentially what we do when we work with survivors is we meet people kind of where they're at, hear what they, what they want, ask them sometimes for the first time, what do you want to happen? What's important to you here, and help folks sort it out. So some people are still with their abusive partners, some have left, some are thinking about leaving, and it's all fine. We meet people where they are and support their decisions. So we do a combination of what we think of as counseling, which is about supporting their decisions, listening to people, providing some information, support, things like that. And then we also help figure out resources. So if somebody is trying to figure out what to do about housing, or is looking for legal representation, or in some cases, some limited financial assistance, we also do that. So kind of looking at a whole person and all the needs there. So our program focuses on that when we are providing those supports. And so we do a whole number of things in terms of just helping people find those resources when they need it, and being there for people as they're on a long path. So I also just want to say kind of from the beginning that the way that we think about abuse, I know oftentimes it's portrayed as physical violence, a series of incidents and maybe like a lot of yelling also. And the way that we think about abuse, and this is true of all of there are excellent domestic abuse programs serving Brookline. We're not the only one. And the way all of us think about abuse isn't so much that it is these isolated incidents all strung together, but that it's actually about controlling behavior. It's about one person taking away their partner's ability to say, this is what I want, this is what I need, taking away their partner's ability to participate in things that should be shared decisions, taking away their partner's ability to feel safe. And in that process, generally devaluing that person, making them feel smaller, making them feel less than. And so abuse is really this kind of 24/7 pattern of controlling tactics that one person uses against their partner in an intimate relationship. And it's important that we get that out there because some of the people that we work with have never been hit and they're not afraid of being hit. They're very afraid of their partner, but they're not afraid that their partner is going to beat them up. And so it's important to get the word out that it is about this pattern of control that often includes physical violence, but doesn't have to for a relationship to be controlling or abusive. So,
Cheryl, let me ask you a question. Who are the vulnerable in Brookline that emergency management is that you're most concerned with? Who would you say are the most vulnerable as far as abuse, sexual harassment, domestic violence?
Well, from an emergency management point of view, anybody who is unable to take care of themselves in an emergency, whatever that emergency might be, is vulnerable. We think particularly of women and pregnant women, children, older adults as vulnerable. We also think of people who don't have a lot of social capital, meaning they don't have a lot of friends or relatives nearby to help them. People who don't have a lot of money are also very vulnerable in emergency situations and in domestic violence situations. And then finally, people who don't understand the language, when English is your second language, and you're not very good at it, it's very, very difficult to understand what you need to do in a specific situation, whether it's an emergency or a domestic violence situation. And I would call a domestic violence situation an emergency.
Right. Julie, what would you suggest somebody do or does in preparing to maybe leave an emergency situation? And Cheryl, I'm going to ask you the same question. How should they prepare, particularly during COVID?
That's a great question. I was actually hoping Cheryl was going to talk about emergency preparedness first, so I could say what Cheryl said. Leaving is often a very dangerous time. And we say that, and then we want to say really quickly, but that doesn't mean folks shouldn't think about it if they want to leave. And so we really encourage people to have a plan. If it's possible for folks to reach out to our program or to one of the other programs in the area to talk through the plan and figure it out, that's great. We know not everybody can reach us, especially now. But to think, I was actually just speaking with somebody who was telling me about her process of leaving, and she really broke it down into being emotionally ready. She had to feel like this was a time she could do it and that she could commit to it. This kind of, I don't know was a hard space to be in. So at some point she made a decision, this is what I want. And I think she had support from a therapist, which is helpful. And again, not everybody has access to that. But the emotionally ready and then the financially ready, some people go and leave and have nothing. And if that's what you need to do, that's okay. There is help available. But other people might, especially for folks who are working in a cash economy, who can put $5 away, $10 away periodically. Some people, save up, put some money aside, create some kind of separate space to put money and have a financial plan. And then the physical plan also. The person that I was speaking to had surgery and she needed to be physically strong enough to leave. She needed to feel like she could go. So I would say, as people are able to plan, it's great to be able to, but I would also really encourage folks not to get tripped up. So that if you have a window of opportunity where you could leave and you're worried, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready, I don't know if I have enough money to do this, I would still, with some planning, if you can, not be hung up by barriers. So Susan, I know I'm like answering and then unanswering your question.
No, it's very Talmudic, but it's also a very conflicting situation because part of the person may still love the batterer. The batterer may be the father of the children. The batterer may be the support, financial support for the family. So to make this decision is extremely difficult. And I used to have a statistic that it takes 6 attempts to leave. Is that still true?
I don't know. There's some research that hasn't been duplicated and updated, but it is true. We know that folks do leave and go back and leave and go back, and for lots of really important and valid reasons. So we know that that's true. And we also know, so it's a good point. Another message is if you've left and felt like you needed to go back, but you still might want to go, it's okay. That happens a lot. It's very, we don't hear about it a lot. We don't talk about it a lot, but it is, there are people who go back and forth for, like I said, for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
And so the part of the planning that we will do with folks, if they're able to reach out to us, in addition to everything I talked about, is what we think of as safety planning.
Right.
So while you're in the process of leaving, how can you be safest and help people figure it? And that plan is going to look different for every person. For as many people who have left, there's a different safety plan. But thinking about kids, if there's kids, thinking about money, thinking about financial safety, thinking about physical safety, all of those pieces. And so advocates in all of our area programs can help people kind of think through what are the steps I can take to be as safe as possible while I'm in this time of transition.
Cheryl, what do you say about emergency planning and safety planning in emergency situations?
I think everything that Julie has said is very, very true for domestic violence victims and or survivors. We hope they will soon become survivors anyhow. I think that one of the things that we usually focus on for personal preparedness, which is really important and everybody should be doing it, is to create what you call a go bag so that you can leave home quickly. And by creating a go bag, if you're in a domestic violence situation, you can be starting the process of preparing to leave without it looking so much like you're trying to leave. Just tell your abuser that, you want to be prepared, that winter is coming up, there's fires that happen we have all sorts of reasons that we might need to leave home quickly. We know what happened up in Andover a few years ago with the gas leaks, and suddenly entire neighborhoods can go home for a period of time. So having a go bag packed is a really good thing to do. You need to be able to carry it. So a backpack or even a rolling suitcase are really good ideas. Also good is maybe one of those rolling shopping carts. You want to have several days worth. A week is best, but at least 3 or 4 days worth of your medications. You want to have some snacks and water, just in case you don't have food for a while. If you can put some money in there, great. If not, don't worry about it. As Julie said, there are organizations that can help. Vital documents are really important. If you can make copies of bank statements, of insurance policies, of a deed, of anything that is important, particularly your health insurance cards or your medical history. Your medical data is really important. A list of your medications. A communication plan. The phone numbers of the people that you would want to reach if your phone broke, disappeared, got wet, the battery rolled out.
Cheryl, can I just interrupt for a minute? Brookline used to have a policy where we would turn in our old cell phones and they would be given to people involved in domestic violence situations. Is that still happening? I mean, a lot of my clients don't have phones.
I'm not sure if that's still happening, but it would be a really good thing to restart, and I will look into that,
Julie, do you
restarting
know
that program.
if it's happening anywhere?
I don't, our program does collect cell phones, but we trade them for money, and for money that would support the program. Part of the issue for folks is that for folks who can't afford the phone, sometimes giving people a phone doesn't help because you have to be able to afford the service also. And so while there's some low cost internet available for low income people to be able to support like all the services on a phone, it just depends, which again doesn't mean don't donate phones, but it's a limited kind of thing because of
Okay, yeah.
the challenge of paying for the plan also.
Yeah, but it would be good, I think, Cheryl, if we could, and I could help you look into it to see. I think we dropped them off at the police station. And I don't know, maybe what Julie is saying curtailed the use of it, but particularly during COVID, my clients have found ingenious ways of contacting me, like leaving notes under my house door, which I'm not happy about. But I don't say no, because if that's all you can do, or following me in the street when I take my dog out. I mean, everybody knows I have this nasty little rescue dog whom I adore, but and I've had two people stop me, and I was, quite frankly, one of them was at night, and I turned around and then I recognized the client. So I would hope that we could do something, because I think the isolation today, and please jump in, is far worse than anything I've seen in 30 years. Just, they don't know how to call. They don't know where they can talk that's safe. They don't know. Have you found that?
If Susan, if it's okay, before we leave the go bag,
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to add one more thing. Cheryl said, what Cheryl said is perfect. And I would say we also know that folks who are not able to have that go bag, obviously at home, even although I so love the idea of explaining it as an emergency preparedness go bag. But for folks who can't do that, we also know that some people just put all those important documents together and give them to a friend, a family member, somebody that they trust, and keep at least the very vital pieces, copies of the very vital things out of the house in case they need to get it, and knowing that they may have to run, and grab and go very quickly. So friends and family can also be a support for that in terms of helping people think about how they might leave. The last word I wanted to say is remember your passwords, because if you use a desktop and your passwords are stored on that desktop and you run and you're trying to run your life from your phone, and you don't have your passwords with you, it's going to be really complicated. So I would just add that to the list.
Yeah. Cheryl, do you want to add anything to the go bag?
I would say that a USB drive, these are shaped like a key, but they're not. It's actually a drive. Storing vital documents and other information on a USB drive is a great way to go, because you just have to carry this. You don't have to worry about them getting wet or lost or anything like that. And this is something that you could mail to or leave with a friend or trusted relative, so that when you need it, you can get it. And you could even store passwords on this too. And there are ways to lock these with a password as well. So there are lots of ways to keep your vital documents and make things as compact as possible. You can also store your go bag with a friend, with a relative. You don't have to have it in your house if it's somewhere close by that you can get to it quickly. And don't forget your kids and your pets. They need their go bags too.
That's a lot of go bags for some families.
Some families, it is a lot of go bags, but you do want to make sure you have at least something for each child that is very, very meaningful for them and that will help comfort them in an emergency situation, domestic violence or not. You want to have some snacks that are going to make them feel better. I mean, think about what it takes to go out for an outing with small children. You need to have stuff with you. And so you may already have a diaper bag packed with a lot of stuff like this, and in which case you're halfway there already. You just need to add the vital documents, the medications to that. You can be very, very creative with the go bags.
I'm just wondering if during this time, friends and family are as observant as they should be about situations that are fraught with danger, for other family members, for children, for pets? What have you found? Are family and friends helping? Are they, if they see something, are they saying something? Are they contacting you, Cheryl? Are they contacting you, Julie? I'd be interested in hearing.
Julie, I'm not hearing specifically from that. The town is doing a number of things to try and combat this. We are working on, we're hoping to get a grant very soon for something called Tech Buddies, where that will allow us to get tablets and the low-cost Wi-Fi that Julie was speaking about to seniors and others who need them, so that they can have these kinds of virtual conversations with family and friends, even if they're not leaving the house or meeting up together in person. And that's a critical piece of all of this that we sometimes take for granted. But a lot of people, they don't have the medium. They don't have a tablet. Cell phones are too small for most seniors, whether it's arthritic hands trying to deal with buttons, or it's tremors, or it's just the eyesight and trying to read on a very small phone screen. So we really think that tablets are going to be very, very helpful. And we're hopeful that the grant will come in the next week or so we can get started on the program. We're really excited about that. Also, it's really important to get to know your neighbors, people around you. There's actually a program, a preparedness training that's called You Are the Help Until Help Arrives. And it's really directed at people understanding that when something goes wrong on your street, then your neighbors are going to be the first people that you turn to. And they're going to turn to you as well if it's an emergency that, you know, affects your entire neighborhood. Who are the people? You should know this. You should know who are the people that will need help in your neighborhood, on your street, on your block. Who are the people that you could get to help you? Where are the families or the couples with a stronger man or some older teenage boys who can help, you know, carry things or lift things in an emergency? Who can you reach out to in an emergency? Who's nearby? It may just be on the floor of your apartment building. It may just be your 3-family or 6-family unit, but you should know the people that are near you and how that can help you. It's really important for, if you have kids or pets, to know who you could call. If you were suddenly in a car accident, who would you call to pick up your kids or feed your pets? You need to have that kind of a buddy backup system with somebody who lives nearby. And that's something that we really, really encourage with all of the people that we talk to about preparedness and resiliency, is how can you make things better in the event that something happens to you today? We all know about putting on our seatbelts when we get into a car, right? It's not, we don't do that because we think we'll get in a car accident today. We do that because if today is the day, we'll have our seatbelt on and we'll already be ready. We'll be better off in the end if today's the day it happens. What are the things that you can do today so that you'll be better off if today is the day that you have an emergency? Think about it from that point of view, and you'll probably come up with a lot of stuff that's really very helpful.
Julie?
You know, I'm supposed to be answering the question, but I'm really thinking about who I know on my block and who I need to get to.
That's okay. That's okay.
Cheryl's very effective. I think we are hearing from friends and family and from clergy, and you know, we are getting those calls. At the beginning of the pandemic, our phones went very quiet, which was true of a lot of the programs in the area, and we were really concerned. But now things are picking back up. You know, actually things have been picking up for a while. And people are calling and saying, we're not sure what to do, or how can we help, or what do we say, or we're really frustrated, or we're really frightened. And you know, we hate those situations, but we love those calls. And I really want to encourage anybody who's listening, If you are thinking about somebody or concerned about somebody, don't worry that if you call one of our programs, you're going to be taking up our time and we're helping survivors and we don't have time for you. We are here for you, whether you're calling in a professional capacity or a friend or family capacity. And I see Cheryl's nodding, which makes me think they are too over there. Please do be in touch if you're concerned and just want to talk something over. There's no stupid questions. There's no ignorant questions. We are happy to help you think about things. And that's been a really important connection. And I would encourage folks to reach out. The other thing, a couple of other things to do just from a friends and family perspective is to really think about one of the things that can be very important for survivors of abuse are just those casual social contacts. You know, those part of what people lost in everything is getting out of the house, is maybe seeing people at the coffee machine, is seeing people at the coffee hour, the social hour, or the Oneg Shabbat after a worship service, is having other people in their life, having other voices in their life, having people smile at them, having people value what they have to say. A lot of folks lost a lot of that in switching over to this remote model where people are not working or working from home. And so one thing, without needing to create situations where people are going to disclose and get help and all of those things, is just looking to see, are there simple social situations you can create, probably mostly on Zoom at this point, because even outdoor socially distanced things, it's going to be like 40 degrees this week. So our options are dwindling. But can you create, you know, a work Zoom lunch, or, you know, a group that you're affiliated with? Just have something social, have something casual that people can be part of. Not all survivors can do that, but just to give people another voice in their ear besides their abusive partners or their abusive exes. We have a lot of people who are still being harassed and threatened and frightened by people who they're not even living with anymore or never lived with. So that's one thing that folks can do that's a really low bar, just kind of to create spaces for people to find each other. The other thing that we're really encouraging folks to do is that we know survivors are not walking into places right now where they might see a poster saying, here's how you can get help. Whether it's our posters that show up in a lot of area synagogue restrooms or other material. There's a great Brookline poster that I think Big has been running these posters this month. People aren't having the opportunity to get to see those crisis numbers. And so if you post things on your social media, that gets to your whole circle, right? Everybody who's looking at your social media might see it. And the really cool thing is, especially right now in October, because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a lot of groups are posting. So you don't even have to create your own thing. You can just like and share. You know, we have something we just actually posted last week. We posted the poster from the synagogue bathrooms and said, hey, people aren't seeing this because they're not in synagogues that often. Right. You repost this on your social media. So Reach Beyond Domestic Violence has been posting, ATASK, the Asian Task Force, the Network LARED has been posting, the national hotlines are posted, the National Hotline Against Domestic Violence, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is posting. All of those kinds of posts, you can just retweet, share.
Right.
You're seeing, I'm not so good at social media, so I don't have all the verbs right. But just put it out on your social media so that somebody doesn't have to come to you and say, I'm a survivor and I need help, but they may get that phone number. And here's one of the things that's important to remember is if you put the phone number up, that means they don't have to search for the phone number, which means
Julie, let's have a phone number from you, an easy phone number from you.
An easy phone number for me. Well, so our number at Jewish Family is 781-647-5327. And you have to ask for Journey to Safety, and we'll answer the phone between 9 and 5, and the call will get transferred. And we're working remotely, so we'll have to call you back. But there are 24/7 hotlines that I should have written down and have in front of me.
That's okay. We have them. Cheryl, a phone number for you, if that's appropriate.
I would actually like to make sure that everybody knows about the Brookline Alert Brookline system, which is our new notification system about emergencies. And situational awareness is so important. And the town has a new notification system. Some people know them as reverse 911 systems. And so the phones will ring with a message. You may have gotten them in the past about snow removal
Right, yeah.
or no parking because of a snowstorm or something like that. But we also use them for other emergency information, and you can actually go onto the website and sign up with your cell phones, your email. You can get things texted if you prefer not hearing the voice. You can get them in an email. We also do translations in 5 different
Wow.
languages. Yes.
Wow.
So it's really good. You can text Alert Brookline to 99411, or you can go online at brooklinema.gov/alert. And either of those places, you can plug in any number of, I think you can do up to 5 in an account. So you can put your kids' phone numbers in there. So they'll get texts as well, and just tell them how, and you can sign up to get those translations as well if you prefer.
Could we have this information so that maybe Corbin could add it at the end of the show, the contact
Absolutely.
information? And in the last couple of minutes, your last words. I'm going to start with you, Cheryl. Last words of advice.
Last words of advice. Preparedness equals resilience. Everybody wants to be resilient. We can't avoid an emergency. We can avoid some of the impacts of an emergency. An emergency is always going to be the worst day of your life. What do you need to make it better? What can do that little extra bit so that you are not as bad off as before? It's a lot like planning for the weather. Do I wear a winter coat today? Do I bring an umbrella? What do I need to do to be safer or be in a place that's going to be more productive for me, myself, and my family and my kids?
Thank you, Cheryl.
And that's what I would say.
Thank you. Julie, last words.
I guess a couple things. One is, if you do need help, please know that there's also help available where you don't have to speak out loud. So that if you are needing help and you're at home and you can't use the phone, either because there's an abusive person there or because you have kids there and you don't want to speak in front of the kids, there are ways you can reach out. Reach Beyond Domestic Violence has set up a chat line. Oh, Cheryl's showing something. So Reach Beyond Domestic Violence has set up a chat line, and the hours that chat is operational is on their website. And also the national hotline has 24/7 call, text, or online chat. So please know that those, if you have, and we know that not everybody can use any of those services, but that you don't have to be able to speak out loud. And then I guess I would just wrap up by saying to people that are concerned about somebody in your life, please reach out, get some support from one of our programs, and we'll post we'll post the programs that serve Brookline, which include hospital programs. So if you have hospital-based appointments, you can get help at through the hospital programs also. So please reach out. And then if you are struggling, or if you are living with somebody who is controlling or abusive, or if you have somebody who's controlling or abusive in your life, just please know that you're not alone, and that there are people here who will help and support you and will help figure out how we can be in regular contact with you. So if you're able to reach out to any of the numbers that will be posted at the end, I really hope that you will. And hope that you will find ways to feel that you will reach out so that we can support you and help you figure out what you want next.
Thank you, Julie Youdovin of Journey to Safety, and thank you, Cheryl Snyder, for serving our town so well and so consistently. It was a delight to have you. And again, that's it for the Safety Net. Basically for the month of October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But we'll be back. Thanks again. Bye.